The first group of candidates from the College of Aviation is being led by Professor Randy Raybach. Professor Raybach was selected by the graduating students as the student marshal for the College of Aviation and is carrying the gonfalon of that college. The gowns that you will see today are 3 in number and styling. That of the bachelor's degree is a yoked, closed front garment with long pointed sleeves. That of the master's degree has sleeves long and closed, but slit just above the wrists. The gown of the doctoral degree has full bell-shaped sleeves. Only the doctor's gown is trimmed with velvet panels down the front and 3 velvet bars on each sleeve, which represent the college of the university which granted the degree. Leading the candidates from the College of Engineering is Professor James Helbling. Professor Helbling was selected as the student marshal for the College of Engineering and is carrying the gonfalon of that college. The cords you see some of our candidates wearing were presented at the Honors Award Luncheon yesterday. Gold cords are worn by candidates graduating summa cum laude, a grade point average of 3.9 or higher. Red cords are worn by candidates graduating magna cum laude, a grade point average of 3.70 to 3.89. White cords are worn by those candidates graduating cum laude, a grade point average of 3.50 to 3.69. The International Honor Society for Computer and Electrical Engineers are identified by wearing orange cords. Mortarboard, a National Honor Society that recognizes college seniors for outstanding leadership, scholarship, and service, are wearing white cords and gold cords. Leading the candidates from the College of Arts and Sciences is Dr. Stephanie Trombley. Dr. Trombley was selected as the student marshal for the College of Arts and Sciences and is carrying the gonfalon of that college. Leading the candidates from the College of Correction from our worldwide campus is Dr. Kees Riestema. Dr. Riestema is Professor of Business Administration representing our worldwide campus. Please remain standing for the posting of the colors and singing of the national anthem by Senior Airman Elaine James from the Air National Guard Band of the Southwest. Color Guard, please post the colors.
Recent arms.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight on the ramparts we watched were so gallantly gleaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Order. Arms.
Mr. Benjamin Itriide, an aerospace engineering candidate from Woodinville, Washington, will give the invocation.
If you would all please remove your hats and bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we stand here today in a threshold in our life, leaving the life of an undergraduate behind and moving on to the next stage of our life. Father, you have watched us as we made our way through college and have helped us along the way. It is by your grace that we have made it to this momentous occasion. And we ask that you continue to watch over and guide us, wherever our paths may lead. In the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, amen.
Please be seated. Thank you, Elaine, for performing our national anthem, and thank you, Benjamin, for the invocation. Now, before we begin, let me note that this is indeed a time of celebration for those of you that would like to take photos of your candidate. You certainly may. Take as many as that camera can hold. In fact, we've got special seating for you right up here. These two front rows are for those of you that would like to take photos. We ask that you keep the aisleways clear and try to stay low so you're not blocking anybody's view. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce our Chancellor, Mr. Dan Carroll.
Thank you, Sean. This is certainly an exciting and very special day for the candidates and for both the Prescott campus and the worldwide campus. This is also an exciting and special day for the family and friends of our candidates. And to the family and friends, to our guests, I extend a warm welcome. I'm so pleased that you're here today to share in this very special occasion, a time when we recognize great accomplishment and a time when we can say with great pride and in one voice, you have done well, you make us proud. You're ready to take the next step on life's journey. Congratulations. Allow me to introduce to you the members of the platform party, each of whom will have a role in conducting the commencement exercises today. On my right is Dr. John P. Johnson, President of Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University System. To his left, our commencement speaker, Ms. Caroline Daniels. To her left, representing the Board of Trustees, is Mr. Raymond Sigafus. Mr. Sigafus will officially confer the degrees. To his left, Dr. Richard Bloom, Dean, College of Arts and Sciences. Then Dr. Jackie Lidke, Dean, College of Aviation. Dr. Richard Felton, Dean, College of Engineering. And Dr. Kays Ritsema, representing our worldwide campus. Now I would like to invite President Johnson to the podium to formally introduce our commencement speaker.
Thank you very much. Our commencement speaker today is a very special individual, Ms. Caroline Daniels. She's Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Aircraft Technical Publishers, better known as ATP. ATP serves over 10,000 customers worldwide, including many of the world's leading government regulatory agencies, fixed-base operators, repair stations, aircraft and component manufacturers, airlines, corporate and independent operators, and maintenance organizations. Caroline Daniels is widely acknowledged by the aircraft industry as a true pioneer of aviation compliance and safety information systems. As one of the three founders of Aircraft Technical Publishers, Ms. Daniels has successfully led ATP through 3 decades of technology innovation with a concentration in business strategy and product innovation. As the first operations leader, Ms. Daniels created and implemented the ATP single source aircraft library concept, developing cornerstone database and computing applications for ATP. In the following years, she led the establishment of source affiliations, which was central to the growth of ATP product offerings. Ms. Daniels was appointed president in 1984 and was elected chairman of the board and chief executive officer in 1989. Ms. Daniels is an active participant in industry affairs, currently serving on ERAU's President's Advisory Board and the General Aviation Manufacturing Association Board of Directors. Ms. Daniels earned her BA in psychology from the University of Colorado, and she graduated from Harvard Business School's President's Management Program. In 1978, Ms. Daniels earned her pilot's license to better appreciate the industry she serves. Please join me in welcoming our commencement speaker, Ms. Caroline Daniels, a true friend of Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. And good morning, graduates, alumni, members of the Board of Trustees, our esteemed member of the Board of Trustees, I might add, and faculty and staff. I sincerely appreciate the opportunity to be with you today to address and hopefully inspire you at this amazing point in our world's history. Aviation has always been an inspiration to me. As a little girl growing up in the San Francisco Bay Area, I used to watch the Goodyear blimp glide slowly through the sky. I was a lucky child. My father was a flying tiger, and he continued to fly private after the war. This included taking his small children up to fly over the house to give us this marvelous perspective of our life in the suburbs. As much as I love the takeoffs, the landings, the thrill of the flying, and the view in that twin-engine aircraft, it was the graceful blimp that captured my imagination, and it was the blimp that I longed to fly. I held tight to that dream, and one day, a business friend of mine in Akron, Ohio, called and told me that the blimp was in Santa Rosa, and if I could get up there, the ride was mine. So my dream came true, and yes, I have log time in the blimp, or blimp time in my logbook, excuse me. As I look upon the graduating class, I see faces filled with beautiful dreams. Some of you will realize those dreams, and much, much more. Some of you may have your heart broken when something you think is important may not materialize for you. Many of you will achieve things that you have not yet begun to dream of. Later in life, you will find that you could never have imagined all that you will see, experience, and create in your lives. I never in my wildest dreams thought that I would be chairman and CEO of my own company one day, that I would have the opportunity to sit in board discussions to shape the agenda of the industry, or to stand before you today giving a graduation speech, yet here I am. I was invited here today not just to praise you, but to challenge you. I will not challenge you to be all you can be, because I think you've learned that here at Embry-Riddle. Likewise, I do not believe I need to remind you of your social, moral, and spiritual responsibilities as leaders. I do want to challenge you to build upon those dreams of yours, to make a difference in this world, to be able to say, when you're my age, that you have left the world a better place and improved the lives of those around you because of something you did with your time and your resources. Embry-Riddle is a unique school focused on an extraordinary industry that has existed barely a century. I imagine that a significant number of you came to Embry-Riddle with career aspirations fully developed. In addition to challenging you today, I'm also going to ask you to think outside that box. There are immediate and pressing problems in our industry to be addressed. Just as the tenets of our world's financial systems are in serious question, and just as many as our world's institutions need to be reimagined, so does our community call for reconsideration and reinvention. The aviation industry is rife with opportunity, needing fresh, new ideas from you. You are some of the best prepared to contribute. In addition, because of your youth and inexperience, you won't say why things can't be done, as you might hear from people whose maturity has established their own belief systems and often cemented their thinking. As graduates from Embry-Riddle, you have outstanding training and fresh perspectives. You are positioned to offer suggestions and thoughts about tackling these problems from new angles and different vantage points. Our industry faces 4 significant areas of challenge today. First, Although the green movement is not new to aviation, we have some serious work to do to get on board. Of the most immediate concern, we must deal with the problem of lead in the class of fuel called avgas. A significant number of small aircraft flying today are dependent upon avgas, 70% of Piper's fleet alone. In the US, general aviation manufacturers expect legislation from the Obama administration against the use of leaded fuel early next year. What does this portend for the tens of thousands of piston-powered aircraft and all the constituents that touch those aircraft, from the owner-operator to the FBO that sells maintenance and fuel to the IAs that inspect the aircraft? Noise has plagued the industry and airport commissions for some time, growing steadily worse over the last decade, to set battles between housing communities and airports. Seldom do communities appreciate the economic benefit that aviation brings to their area. Nonetheless, noise and very shortly emissions are going to escalate. What work in the area of both sound dampening and community relations is critically needed. As such, innovative work being done by GE and NASA on open rotor jet engines. This research, now being performed, could sharply reduce fuel consumption, and with a new honeycomb structure composed of many tiny metallic tubes, enable a new type of noise reduction. Environmental studies warn that emissions from aircraft are rising dramatically, with a prediction that they will more than double over the next 20 years. In October, in the US, the House and Chairman of the Energy and Commerce Committee, Congressman Dingell, released a draft bill that aims by 2050 to reduce domestic greenhouse gas emissions by 80% over 2005 levels. The Europeans are crafting similar and even more demanding legislation. Although the air carriers can claim that they have made significant progress in reducing their emissions over the last 10 years, we have considerable work to do in aeronautics research and technology to reduce the carbon footprint to the levels that will surely be required globally. The second challenge is the real need for modernization of the US air traffic control system. The FAA projects the air traffic alone to double in the US alone to double by the year 2025. And it is well understood that existing ground-based air traffic control system must be replaced with a satellite system to adequately support that magnitude of growth. To avoid capacity constraints, improve airspace efficiency, and minimize operational costs, the U.S. must modernize the air traffic control infrastructure with satellite-based air-to-ground communications, navigation, and surveillance. It is expected that NextGen, which is what this new system is being called, will increase the system's adaptability, enabling aircraft to quickly adjust to changes in factors affecting flight itineraries, such as weather, traffic congestion, aircraft position, flight trajectory, patterns, and security issues. And using such new technologies as automatic dependent surveillance broadcast, or ADS-B, to enable real-time displays of air traffic, and system-wide information management, or SWIM, to reduce redundancy and better facilitate information sharing for new and faster modes of decision-making. The new digital data transmissions will also enable the controllers to be more productive and safely handle more traffic. NextGen has an expected price tag of somewhere between $27 and $36 billion to be implemented by the year 2017. Without this needed transformation, by 2022, the FAA estimates the cost of the U.S. economy alone of $22 billion annually, growing to $40 billion by the year 2033. How will NextGen be funded? A real political problem. Built, a competitive issue. And implemented, such a massive organizational shift. What an exciting area to work in. What an impact the result will have on our country. We need talented young people to join in the conversation, debate furiously, and bring forward new ways of thinking about this problem that has spanned decades. Third, the world's regulatory systems were historically patterned after the FAA's. The consolidation of Europe's aviation authorities into rulemaking authorities into the European Aviation Safety Authority, or EASA, has changed the landscape for international agreement. For the last 10 years, the FAA and U.S. industry have arduously negotiated rules with the Europeans, as many of the issues have far-reaching economic impact, such as restrictions on international airline ownership, intercountry repair station allowances, fee structures, and systems for aircraft certification. As China and industry prepare to launch massive aircraft manufacturing and air transportation infrastructures, they are also beginning to develop their own regulatory systems, which will launch, again, the interaction and demand for agreements with both the US and Europe. The discussions will to create these bilateral agreements between the US and the Europeans have been difficult at best. Imagine the complications that will be introduced with the intercession of yet another significant and powerful players. The conversations and negotiations that will occur will be demanding because of the economies at stake, difficult because of the language barriers, and sensitive because of the nature of political relationships between those two powerful entities. The work to be done here to ensure that our community's global trade is conducted fairly, securely, ethically, and transparently without market-distorting intervention that impair competitiveness. Fourth, the greatest challenge for the next decade or two, however, begins with the critical fact that 27% of America's aviation technical workforce will be eligible to retire by the end of this year. The civil aviation, aerospace, and defense industry are watching this horizon, expecting many of their highly experienced engineers and technical experts to retire in the next 5 to 10 years. The number of university graduates with engineering degrees is significantly lower than the number of graduates leaving the field of aviation. Companies are hiring now and setting the transfer of knowledge in motion. The aim is to ensure that the next generation of engineers and scientists will have access to the industry's institutional memory, the standards and measures created by and understood by those seasoned professionals. Without engineers and scientists like you, with enthusiasm and interest in grabbing this brass ring, our brain trust will dwindle, national security will be at risk, and the U.S. will fall behind in space exploration. None of these four challenges will be solved without critical thinking, scientific research, political savvy, intelligent communications, and new approaches. Many of you have already made suggestions and have more to offer, and are germinating ideas for the needed transformations. We need your energy, your enthusiasm, and your contributions to tackle these challenges and design new internationally based ways of ensuring safe and reliable air transportation systems. Let me emphasize the importance of meeting these challenges by telling you that aerospace and civil aviation is a cornerstone of the U.S. economy, providing strong economic foundation for much of the U.S. advanced technology and innovation. In 2006, civil aviation alone contributed 5.6% to the GDP of the U.S. economy. Sales in 2009 are expected to be $214 billion and generate over $1.8 trillion in economic activity. Let me reassure graduates and parents that the aviation industry is in a good position to weather the current financial storm. Investment in our industry and the importance of the job should not diminish in the next few years for several reasons. First, because the funding levels for aerospace and defense are largely set for the next fiscal year, and the 2010 budget is now being negotiated. Secondly, aviation infrastructure, scientific, and research are part of the Obama administration's recently announced proposal to invest in our infrastructure and jumpstart our economy. Lastly, airlines and business aviation alike are fiscally compelled to invest in more fuel-efficient aircraft. So manufacturers' back orders for aircraft are largely holding and should remain strong through 2010 and beyond. Let me close by giving you some examples of young people whose dreams have changed the world. Thomas Edison was 31 years old when he declared he would replace the gas lamp with an electric light with a boldly different method of current distribution from that used for arc lighting. That led the same year to the formation of the Edison Electric Light Company, which was the genesis for GE. Although it may not seem young to you today, by the respective ages of 40 and 44, Robert Kahn and Vincent Cerf had both created the architecture and the, oops, I lost my place, hang on, architecture for the internet, and collaborated on the design of software called Transmission Control Protocol / Internet Protocol, or TCP/IP, that implements the architecture and thus enable applications ranging from email to instant messaging forms on the World Wide Web, changing forever the way we communicate. Martin Luther King was 34 years old when he gave his I Have a Dream speech that fostered the civil rights movement. And I probably don't need to remind many of you that at age 29, Hans J.P. von Ohain's liquid-filled engine, the HES-3B, was installed in the HE-178 airplane, and the first turbine-powered aircraft took flight in 1939. Today, I lift my voice in praise and thanksgiving for all of you. And I believe that each and every one of you is prepared to rise to the challenges of this particular era to make your unique contribution. Most importantly, hold on to your dreams and follow your passion. You will surely be rewarded for the differences that you will make. Thank you for the privilege of addressing you today. It's my honor to be standing before the next leader of the New World Era. Thank you, and congratulations, graduates. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, that stays there.
Ms. Daniels, we want to thank you for those inspirational words and for your comments about the optimistic future of our industry. We thank you so much. And on behalf of Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, we'd like to present to you the Crystal Eagle of Aviation Award. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, wow. Isn't that beautiful?
Let's get a picture.
Okay, I can put this in my, I can put this down.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do you want to let us ship that to you?
Yes, that would be lovely. I appreciate that.
Very good.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. To our graduating seniors, you've just heard from a highly accomplished woman. She has spoken so eloquently to you, a veritable Athena, gray-eyed goddess of wisdom and virtue. Now it is your turn, as it is every year, to provide a student speaker for equal time, an Embry-Riddle tradition. In past years, student speakers have manifested breathtaking erudition, picaresque humor, the height of the Platonic sublime, Dadaism, hermeneutic and post-structural aporia, surrealistic and phantasmagoric mentation, and, at times, political banality masquerading as subversive cognitive implosion. And you thought we were just a flight school. What will this day bring? Well, the fall 2008 class, showing remarkable determination and sagacity, looked high and low, far and near, up and down for the right student representative. They looked in New York, they looked in LA, they looked in Jakarta, Rio de Janeiro, London, to the far ends of the earth, even as we wonder how the earth being round can have far ends to begin with. Anyways, it turns out the right place to look was closer to home, Tucumcari, New Mexico. That's right, Tucumcari, where the American Revolution began. I know some of you are thinking, but what about the Boston Tea Party, Lexington and Concord, Valley Forge? Well, it turns out that the mystery was solved by our eminent Embry-Riddle historian, Dr. Stephanie Trombley. She has recently discovered the original manuscript of Paul Revere's Ride. I have it right here. Sorry about that, Dr. Trombley. I hope you made a copy. Paul Revere actually said, quote, "One if by land, two if by sea, three if by air from Tucumcari," unquote. Anyways, our student speaker is Adam Goldenstein. Mr. Goldenstein, to quote a great exemplar of American culture, and here I refer to the musical collaboration between the Massachusetts rock and roll band Aerosmith and the seminal rap group Run DMC, "Walk This Way."
Thank you, Doctor, for the great introduction. I'm not quite sure I understood everything you said. And I'm not quite sure I'm going to meet all the credentials of previous class speeches because I don't know what they were. But good morning. Good morning, graduates, parents, faculty, guests, and friends. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Adam Goldenstein, and I'm honored that my classmates have chosen me to represent them with this farewell speech. As this is a very small graduating class and a small school, I feel that to dilute this honor with a motivational speech or the famed carpe diem or seize the day would be transparent to you all, of which I have worked closely by over the last 4 years. My goal here is to leave you with a few reiterated statements of truth, committed thanks, and fond farewell. The fact that I am speaking to you right now means that you and I have both survived and made it through the weeding classes. We've been through a rite of passage and a rite of repertoire of emotion. We have experienced the freshman dreams, the freshman grades, or should I say lack thereof, and the pride of having potential. We've also had the sophomore feelings of hopelessness. Us engineers have experienced the junior gauntlet and the senior level discontent. But all of these had their immediate counterparts. The dreams and prides were coupled with the fear of failure, thoughts of quitting, but ultimately hope, and finally the light at the end of the tunnel, with a sense of perception of success. Throughout our studies here, we have learned a great deal. For example, lift is generated by a difference in pressure above and below the wings. Some of us engineers know this, and we know that the pilots know, and we're taught that lift is generated by mythical creatures called lifties that hang out on the top and bottom of the wings. We also learned about control systems and the complex analysis to determine the stability of the aircraft, which simply means push down, trees get bigger, pull up, trees get smaller. As graduates, we would like to take a special time to thank our staff and faculty for their hard work and support in our education. A special thanks to Dr. Ashworth for letting us know that the F-4 is the greatest aircraft of all time. In addition, we would like to thank Dr. Lanning for all of his jokes through all of his classes and telling us that Avogadro's number is in the phone book. It's not, we checked. Finally, to Dr. Haichabara, from deep down in all of our hearts, thank you making every word in the English language very special to us. The ingenuity that brought us here many times manifested itself into some very abstract ideas, such as constructing a line of shopping carts from Walmart to the In-N-Out Burger in hopes of better understanding its mode shapes. We tested the tip criteria of many four-wheel drive vehicles. We taped up freshmen to test the adhesive capabilities of duct tape, and maybe even once or twice conducted free-fall tests off of balconies to impress women. We've built fires and placed trampolines over it to test the flash point of certain elastic materials, and developed some interesting relationships with local ranchers. We've also found out that we don't need a firing mechanism to shoot a bullet. Thank you, Chris. Just throw in fire, and of course, voila. In addition, and of course, our detours into chemical and biological engineering on Whiskey Row. All of these were performed with a bare minimum factor of safety, but were still elementary in our learning through application. And finally, we must thank all the women at Embry-Riddle, all 10 of you, for giving us that reason to live. We are weeks away from the beginning of our careers and the day that we will no longer receive any more graduation emails or career advice from Vicky Fox. And let me remind you that we have our work cut out for us. As an aerospace engineering major myself, it is easy to forget that there are other degree programs at this school. For the aviation business majors, I wish you good luck, and may you please do something about our economy. If they should fail, please keep heart, because I am told that the GSIS majors are able to work miracles. To the space physics majors, I'm still waiting to see light speed travel, but until then, I'm told that the only confirmed black hole was found in your heads. Especially, I'd like to thank the double E's, because as an aerospace engineering major, we're pretty nerdy, but you double E's always made us look less nerdy. And I am also expecting a computer that won't crash while running CATIA to be invented very soon. Finally, to the pilots out there, please know that turbulence is not a joke to passenger or us engineers. And remember, it's engineers that put pilot ejection seats in your aircraft. To our families, know that even though you have spent a monumental amount of money on us, that money is still the best graduation gift. A very special thanks to our family, friends, professors, and everyone who has helped shape us into the people we are today and to the potential that we have become. Thank you for supporting us over the last 4, 5, maybe even 6 years. Farewell, and may all of your endeavors be successful. Thank you very much.
I'd like to change the atmosphere for a minute to really be serious. We live yet again in a time of war and great national challenge, not just in Iraq and Afghanistan, not just a war on terror, but in locations throughout the world wherein our great nation is being tested. And in this time, our nation is fortunate that Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, with its history of Volunteers of America, with its history of heroes, is once again offering its best and brightest who have volunteered to meet and overcome the challenge, to sacrifice, even if necessary, to make the ultimate sacrifice for our country. Regardless of your position on the issues of today, such as the Mideast, weapons of mass destruction, terrorism, and the global recession, the fact that we have turned out yet another cohort of the best of what humanity has to offer, young people with a call to duty, a call to character, a call to sacrifice, yes, a call to glory, young people who are following all of you in the audience and on stage who have served in the United States Armed Forces. I ask that you contemplate and introspect, that you let your prayers go with these men and women, our newest, greatest generation, who are to be entrusted with a commission in the United States Armed Forces. I first call up Colonel Ann R. Fairchild, commander of U.S. Air Force ROTC Detachment 28, to conduct the U.S. Air Force commissioning ceremony. Colonel Fairchild.
Thank you, Dr. Bloom. Will David Ayers, Philip Clausen, Lindsay Ellis, Caleb Gabori, Kyle Harrington, and James Miller please come forward? I am honored today to have the opportunity to give the oath of office to our Air Force's newest second lieutenants. The oath of office you're about to hear today is essentially the same oath that was taken by American officers since the early days of our first president, George Washington. Upon taking this oath, these young officers join a long line of dedicated and talented men and women who have gone before them, protecting our government's shores, national security interests abroad. Their watchwords, duty, honor, country, do not belong to West Point alone, but to everyone who serves in our military forces. Will the fall 2008 commissionees of Detachment 028 please